Comic Book Savant, episode 391. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This episode, I'm going to be going into what is wrong with DC films. There's been a lot of different things that's been going on over, let's say, the past 6 months or so. I had did some previous episodes earlier in the year where I was talking about how to fix the DC films and how they were announcing and putting out movies, and I did about 2 episodes, and I started coming up with a concept for this 3rd episode, and I kind of shelved it to give, there was a lot of changes going on, a lot of moves were made with the hierarchy of the management there, so I wanted to wait, and I sat on this episode for quite a while, and I waited to, for Comic-Con and all of these other different announcements, and for us to start seeing some trailers for movies that were announced before I sat down and talked about my thoughts on what's going wrong with DC films. But before we get into that main topic, as always, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends over at the Comics Podcast Network. You can find them over at comicspodcast.com. If you like what I do here and you want more related content as far as good comic book related podcasts, that's a one-stop shop to go to over at comicspodcast.com. There are literally hundreds of different comic book podcasts listed there, so you can take your pick and choose and see if you can find other related content. If you're a fan of what I do and you want more comic book podcasts to listen to, that's a great place to go and experiment and try out different shows to see if you can find other podcasts that you like. And as always, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends over at InStockTrades.com. They are a sponsor for the show. Just one of the best places you can go online when you're looking for collected editions, if you're looking for manga, if you're looking for oversized issue releases like Action Comics 1000, things of that nature. They cover any type of bound comic book edition, be it trade paperback, absolute editions, masterworks, omnibuses, you name it, they have it there. They have a great selection. They have discounts ranging anywhere from 25, 35 to even 50% off with their deals of the week. They update the deals of the week on the homepage of the site, I think Tuesday afternoons, where they spotlight a handful of books and they discount them up to 50% off. If you're a U.S.-based customer and you place an order that is $50 or more, you get free shipping within the U.S. If you happen to live outside of the U.S. and you want to check out the service, I implore you to do so. You still get the great savings, and they still have some of the most competitive and cheapest international shipping rates around, so you still are possible to save a ton of money through InStockTrades.com. So definitely give them a try. Let them know that you heard about them here first. That always helps the show. And back to the main topic, which is what is going on or what's wrong with DC films. Now, the last few episodes, like I said, I offered ways that they could kind of fix certain situations they had got themselves into. But it's been so much shakeup and upheaval, drama, and even more announcements, which I thought they couldn't do more announcements of movies. And here's what we got. We're just going to break it down first. As far as movies that over the past few years, 2 to 3 years, that has been announced by DC Films in some shape, form, or fashion. So this is the rundown of everything I could find that was ever announced. We have Aquaman, directed by James Wan. That's going to be coming out December 21st. Of this year. We finally got the first trailer at Comic-Con this year, and like I stated in the video, well, not video, but the podcast that I did talking about everything San Diego Comic-Con, like I said, it didn't wow me to the extent I wanted it to. It looks fine, but it didn't build up my anticipation like most trailers. I felt like the job of most trailers is to build anticipation for the movie. It didn't at all. It was okay. Then we also had a trailer for If I Can Talk, Shazam that dropped at Comic-Con as well, and that's dropping April 5th of 2019. That's directed by David F. Sandberg. Now, that did build my anticipation for the movie because it wasn't even on my radar before, and it has me optimistic on what kind of movie it is. Aquaman's a little different. It looks very epic and grand in scale, but it looks like so much is going on, maybe a little bit too much. I'm not super familiar with James Wan because I'm not a horror movie fan. And, just like you guys, if you listen to the podcast any amount of time, I'm not huge into horror outside of the Walking Dead comic book and for a while the Walking Dead TV show. That's the only kind of horror, and I always look at it that it's more of a thriller than a horror because it's dealing with people mentally breaking down. So I'm not a huge horror fan, so I haven't seen many of his movies. I think maybe back in the day I saw the original Saw, and I think he was a co-writer or something on that very early in his career. That might be the only thing I've ever seen that he's really worked on in that whole realm. So it just looked like it could hit real big or it can tank real bad because it's just overstuffed with so much. So I'm curious to see Aquaman, but I'm not at this point from what I saw in the trailer. Now, people reported from that was at the panel at Comic-Con that they showed like a sizzle reel or an extended trailer that was way better. We didn't get a chance to see it. Me not being in San Diego and just watching it online, I'm limited to what they showed me in the trailer, and it just had me, it had my expectations just like the same as where they were before. I want to see it. I know I'm going to go see it, but it didn't wow me or knock my socks off. Now, after that, it's announced that because we had multiple Joker movies that were announced. This one is called Joker. It's supposed to be coming out October 4th, 2019, directed by Todd Phillips, and Joaquin Phoenix is playing the lead role. They've made some more cast announcements I'm not going to get into because it'll take forever. I'm just going to break down. This is the basic information that we have. This is supposed to be separate from the Jared Leto. Is it Jared Leto? Yeah, Jared Leto's Joker that we got to know from Suicide Squad. And they announced another big thing is, too, it's not the DC... FU anymore. DC is saying that their film universe is called the Worlds of DC. So this is like some new initiative. So this Joker movie is kind of like a prequel kind of story that's totally separate and can exist in the same world that we have the Jared Leto Joker as well. So it's a prequel of sorts. I don't know if it's going to be attached at all or, we have the multiverse and all that. So I think that's their whole reasoning, that they can have multiple movies on multiple characters exist from different time frames and different stories, and they don't have to be all interconnected. And that's where the branding has changed now to officially the Worlds of DC. I don't know what sense that makes. I'm interested. I like Todd Phillips. His last movie, I think it was called War Dogs. It had Miles Teller in it. Is it Miles Teller? And let me look it up. I hate when I do that. I'm getting old, y'all. I'm about to be 43 soon, so my memory is not as strong as it was in certain cases. I think it was War Dogs. Miles Teller and Jonah Hill. It was a really good movie. They made a big mistake and they marketed the movie as a comedy. And it really, if anything, it might have been a dark comedy, but it was more, maybe I would classify it as a dramedy. It ended up being a really good movie. So, based off of what I saw with that, if he's doing something in the same vein and doing this dark, grittier take on something with the Joker, with Joaquin Phoenix, which is, phenomenal actor, I'm curious about it. I don't know how interested I am because I didn't feel like they fully explored Jared Leto's Joker, which I didn't hate that Joker as much as other people did. I didn't love it, but I thought it was a different take, and if they would have done more in Suicide Squad and made him the main villain, I was interested where he was more gangster related and tied to the underworld. I wanted to see more of that, and we didn't get it. So seeing a whole nother rendition of the character when one hasn't been fully fleshed out, I don't know. Time will tell. It'll only have like a year and a half or so before this movie is supposed to hit the big screen. So I guess we'll see eventually. Then we have Wonder Woman 1984 that's going to be coming out November 1st, 2019, directed by Patty Jenkins. We've seen they started shooting the movie probably about a month ago now, because Comic-Con is a few weeks removed at this point, and they were about 2 weeks or so in shooting at that point. So we've seen a few snapshots. We've seen they showed a scene that they had pieced together where Wonder Woman's saving a girl. People said it looked good. The colors are brighter, definitely, even from screenshots that they've put on social media and things like that. I'm interested. I'm interested in it. I really enjoyed the first Wonder Woman, so I'm ready to see what Patty Jenkins is going to do. We already know from pictures that have been released that Chris Pine is back somehow. So to see how they're working that Steve Trevor is back in the movie has me curious at this point. So it's going to be very interesting to see where a lot of that goes. Next, we have The Flash, not The Flashpoint anymore. They're just going by The Flash. It's supposed to come out June 14th of 2019, and it's going to be directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. We haven't heard anything since they were announced as directors. It was a whole hubbub about the title because they kept saying they were going to do it was going to be Flashpoint. They scrapped that. The directors, once they came on, they said it's just going to be a Flash kind of like origin movie or what have you. They were scrapping the whole Flashpoint angle that DC originally wanted to do, or DC Films originally wanted to do. And they said they were reworking the script, and most notably, they were one of the group of writers that did rewrites on the script for Spider-Man Homecoming. So hopefully if they can work some of their magic, The Flash will be good. It's kind of like at this point, I will believe in a Flash movie when I finally see it. And, like I said on previous podcasts, I wasn't so sold on Ezra Miller as the Flash and being Barry Allen at all. I just really didn't feel it as much as other people did. But if it's done right, and he doesn't do that stupid running thing that he did in the Justice League movie, I'll give it a try. But it's a movie that I kind of not looking forward to because it's had so much drama in the production, and this director on, this director off, this writer on, this writer off. Robert Zemeckis, Fukunaga. There's been so many different directors attached to this movie. It's just been ridiculous, and rewrites and, creative differences. And, this movie was supposed to be out, now, like this summer. And it because of all the drama, it just kept getting pushed back. And that's another problem when I feel like with what is wrong with DC Films is that you announce all these movies so far in advance, and then now they crumble. And as a fan, I'm like, I don't care. I'm to a point like I really don't care because you announce so much stuff. I can't really believe in anything that you've announced at this point. So going past Flash, we have other movies that they've already announced, and some of these I've added over the months as they've made more announcements. They're moving forward with the Birds of Prey movie with Harley Quinn in it, Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn. That's going to be directed by Kathy Yan, and it's going to be written by Christina Hudson. And they're moving forward on that. So that movie's going to be looking like it's going to go in production first. Now we don't have a announced release date for that yet, but they are moving forward. They're looking to cast. We do know that Harley Quinn's going to be incorporated in it. We know for a while we thought Batgirl might be introduced in the movie, but they've said that is not the case, because if you remember in some of my other videos, Christina Hudson was attached to write Batgirl as well. Now, we don't know, after everything happened with Joss Whedon and him kind of ceremoniously being booted out of DC Films after Justice League and all the allegations from his ex-wife or his wife. I don't know if they're divorced or not. They brought her on to be a writer for Batgirl, and then they brought her over. They really liked her treatment for that, and they brought her over to Birds of Prey as well. So let me see, because Christina she's kind of been a hot name in Hollywood. She some of the movies, she has a lot of movies that are being announced or in production. She wrote Bumblebee, and a lot of people liked her take on that, and that's how kind of she got on DC Films radar. And she, so she wrote that screenplay. She's writing the Birds of Prey screenplay, which is in pre-production, and then she was already announced before the Birds of Prey thing on the Batgirl thing. I think the Batgirl thing is going to be pushed out further. They just went ahead and was like, hey, we know you're working on this, but we really need you to write the script for this Birds of Prey film. So she's moved over to that. So she's attached to a couple of different projects as far as writing. Bumblebee looks good so far. That's going to be out in a few months. So it's going to be really interesting to see when that drops, how well that's received. From the trailers we've seen, it looked good. Hopefully the writing stands up. We won't know till we see the movie. And then she's attached to, like I said, Birds of Prey. And she's also writing Batgirl, and we have no release date set for either movie. Now, on the Suicide Squad 2 front, we got Gavin O'Connor, which directed The Accountant, which is like one of my favorite recent movies, action movies. It was just such a good movie. It was an underrated movie. You don't hear a lot of people talk about it, but it was a really, really good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's supposed to be a sequel somewhere down in the works as well. So, and they announced, but don't know when that's coming out. We don't know when Suicide Squad 2 is coming out, because here's the thing. This is a lot of things of news and tidbits that I gathered. So here's the lowdown on this. Gavin O'Connor had a treatment for Suicide Squad 2 script, where they were going to be like, the whole element around the story was that the Suicide Squad was supposed to be going in, rescuing someone from like this powerful enemy, and it was linked that they were going to have The Rock's Black Adam be the thing, and they were going to go in and rescue someone. Then something along the way that what I heard from different reports online, that Margot Robbie liked his treatment, and she basically took his idea and kind of was like, hey, we can use a similar idea in the Birds of Prey storyline. So what some of the rumors are at this point is that Cassandra Cain Batgirl, or Cassandra Cain, is going to be kidnapped by her. If you remember the Cassandra Cain Batgirl series, the main villain was her father, Cain. I can't remember what his last name was, but it was Cain. He was an assassin and all that kind of stuff, abusive, all that kind of stuff. So they were like, they're kind of going to be, the Birds of Prey are going to be trying to rescue her from him, and he's going to be the main villain. But it was a similar concept, just with different characters that Gavin O'Connor is going to use. But since Margot Robbie has a production deal with them, she kind of took the idea, so now he has to retool. So Suicide Squad 2, because they're really up on pushing Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad 2, which was supposed to be before that, is now kind of being pushed back as he has to retool a different story. that because the concept of the story he wanted is kind of being used in Birds of Prey, which kind of sucks because I'm excited to see a Gavin O'Connor Suicide Squad movie. It's so many unknown quantities related to the Birds of Prey movie. I haven't seen anything by Kathy Yan as a director, and we have not seen a big screen adaptation of anything from that Christine Hodson has written at this point to know if she's a good writer or not. So there's a lot of unknown elements to where one proven element we have. So who knows? Next, we have the Green Lantern Corps. We know now that Jeff Johns has positioned pretty much out of DC Comics as well as DC Films, and he has his own production deal with DC Films. So now he's executive producer on the Green Lantern Corps movie. He's also tasked as one of the writers on the film as well. He talked about it some at Comic-Con. He's trying to map out the story and lay out everything now. He was attached to the first Green Lantern movie. We saw how it came out. But he has so much stuff to pluck from just from his runs alone, from the comics, his epic run on Green Lantern. So I hope they pluck from that. And I just pray that it's better than the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds. I definitely hope. It wouldn't take much to be better than it, but I hope they really nail it this time. Also, we had the Batman by Matt Reeves. It's been I'm behind on some of the news. It was some news I saw online, a video that I didn't get a chance to watch. So I can't speak fully on that. We know Matt Reeves is attached to directing the movie. We don't know if Ben is going to be in the movie or not. And I'll do an update on this later once I get caught up on that news. Because it's been so many announcements, it's hard to keep track of. I'm not even halfway through the list of movies that were announced, even more so the news attached to each one of them. So you have to forgive me on that. But Matt Reeves is tasked to direct. We, as far as I know, is still not a release date attached to this movie. We don't know if Ben is going to be back or they're casting a new Batman. It's been a lot of rumors that they were casting a new Batman, but we don't really know at this point. It remains to be seen, and at this point, I don't even care about this Batman movie. At this point, it's kind of like where the Flash movie is for me. I'll have to see it to believe it at this point because so much has just lingered on and around and about this movie at this point that I just need proof that it's actually going to happen at some point. Let's see, Justice League Dark. That was another movie announced. That's kind of fallen under the radar. It's been so many different people attached to the movie. Then it kind of went silent for a while. Then about, I don't know, earlier in the year, it was more talks about it all over again. And I thought it was going to pick up. Then it's gone silent again. We haven't heard a peep about Justice League Dark, but it was announced that it was going to be a live action movie. A lot of different Guillermo del Toro was attached to it, and I think McTiernan was attached to it, and then he left, and it's been a lot of stuff going on with that movie. And like I said, this one has been talked about even before some of these other movies were even announced. It's been bouncing around for at least 5 years now, talking about a Justice League Dark movie, maybe even longer, and it hasn't materialized yet. So who knows? I kind of dug the animated Justice League Dark movie they did, so it seemed like a premise that could potentially work if done right, and if they kept the budget and everything in check, that it would definitely work. Then it was the Joker Harley Quinn movie. It was supposed to be directed by John Recara and Glenn Ficarra. They were announced as directors. We haven't heard anything else. This was supposed to be Margot Robbie and Jared Leto Joker Harley Quinn movie. That was announced. Then the other Joker movie came up. Then the Birds of Prey movie using Harley Quinn came up. This was announced before that. They announced directors. We don't know what the status of this movie is because it's kind of been quietly shelved in lieu of the Suicide Squad 2 movie that's going to have Harley Quinn in it and the Birds of Prey movie. So they announced directors for it. That was it. And that's all we have. The Nightwing movie is another movie that they were pushing hard about. And I guess since all this fallout between the Batman movie, the Joss Whedon situation, because it seemed like they were really going to push hard Batman forward with the Bat Family movies and the Batman film. All of that stuff kind of after Justice League flopped the way it did. The Joss Whedon stuff, because that they were going to fast track that Batgirl movie, that got pushed back. Matt Reeves, that whole drama surrounding Batman and Ben Affleck and all that slowed down that train. Nightwing was supposed to have been fast tracked, and it was something that Chris McKay, coming off of the Lego Batman movie, was super hype about. He's a huge Nightwing fan. He was geeked about. Now, a few months back, it was announced that his next project is going to be a Dungeons and Dragons movie for another studio. So, he's going to work on that first. So we're looking at, he said he's not giving up on the Nightwing movie. To me, it's quietly kind of been canceled because they've totally buried this Nightwing movie. They were, talking about it heavy, and then it just is, boop, nothing. And that kind of makes me feel like they're not doing it, or they're trying to retool this whole Bat universe on film thing. I would like to see a Nightwing movie because I'm a huge Nightwing fan. Nightwing was my entry into the whole DC universe back in the late 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s for me. That was a comic that got me into the bigger world of DC Comics as an adult. So I would love to see it because I'm a huge Dick Grayson fan and Nightwing fan. So I would love to see the movie, but at this point, it's going to be 5 years or so off, because if he's going to start, and I think they're going to be starting pre-production on that Dungeons and Dragons movie sometime shortly, that is his next project. So it's going to be some years before they ever come back around to that Nightwing film, if ever. And I'm not holding my breath to see, that saying that it's even going to happen at this point. It was supposed to be, they had also announced a Gotham City Sirens movie that was supposed to center around Harley Quinn. Excuse me. Quietly haven't heard anything else from that. I don't know if it got scrapped in lieu of including her in Birds of Prey or these other projects, because Harley Quinn was announced and attached to so many different movie projects. I don't know what's going on with that. At one point, they did say it was going to be a Man of Steel sequel. They never announced it at Comic-Con. They keep saying that we know, if people want it, it's in the works. Now, I think Henry Cavill has one more film that he's under contract for, which it has been said that he has a cameo in Shazam. He's been trying to renegotiate a new contract for himself with DC Films, and he wants more money. I can't kind of blame him, because they've kind of, really have thrown him around, and I think he's been so underappreciated. But a lot of what they're saying is they want to refocus Superman and the worlds of DC as more the backbone, and shift it away from other characters. Kind of have him as the Nick Fury kind of connective tissue through all the different movies, and be that center of the DC Worlds universe. So he wants more money. If he wants too much more money, it'll be interesting to see. He's super close with The Rock, and The Rock's ex-wife has a management company, which I think she manages Rock, and she recently started managing Henry Cavill. So they're going in asking for more money. He wants to be paid as an A-list star. I don't know if I like Henry Cavill and I love him in the role as Superman. I don't know if he should get paid as A-list talent, because they haven't treated him that way. I liked him in the movies that I saw leading into Man of Steel. Then I saw Man of Steel and loved that more. I recently saw Mission Impossible Fallout, and he's really good in that. Is he on a talent level like a Will Smith and all that? Does he put butts in seat? And that's what I associate with A-list talent. I don't know if I'm going to say this. I know he's not there. He's not on that level yet. So if he wants to get paid like that and DC Films doesn't go for it, what are they going to do? So that's why I feel like they haven't really gone forward with making any concrete announcements about Man of Steel because they know like the negotiations are in the work about getting him re-signed, and then they can kind of move forward. And I hope they can come to some kind of headway on that, and that he gets re-signed, because I would like to see him continue where he's back the focus, because if you didn't see Batman v Superman, the Ultimate cut, they cut out 30 minutes or more of his whole story from the movie. They made it Batman centric for the theatrical cut. So, if you didn't see that, you wouldn't see more of how his character progressed at all from Man of Steel to Batman v Superman. So to give him his own movie, give him the sequel that he earned, and see how he does in that, and go from there at this point. We had a Deathstroke announcement that was supposed to be directed by Gareth Evans, and Joe Manganiello was going to be reprising his role as Deathstroke, as we saw at the end of Justice League. We haven't heard anything about that anymore, so we don't know what's going on with that. It was a Black Adam movie with The Rock as Black Adam that was going to be also directed by David S. Sandberg. That is directing Shazam right now, that we have heard nothing about. And then we heard that Black Adam was going to make a cameo in Shazam. And when we heard, Black Adam was going to make a cameo in Suicide Squad 2, all that has gone away, and I don't know what's going on, but we know at some point that Black Adam is supposed to show up somewhere in the worlds of DC universe or universes or universi. I sounded real country, but anyway. So a lot of things have been thrown out there. That has totally, maybe they'll fast track Black Adam depending on, next year when Shazam comes out, how successful it is with the budget and whatnot, if they move forward with Black Adam. But what I remember when they did announce, when I went back, and like I said, I've been accumulating these notes for this episode for quite a few months. He was attached to it. He was going to be doing both of these movies. So, but again, we haven't heard anything on it because his focus has been he started filming on Shazam, and I think they're finishing up filming, going into post-production, and it looks fun. It looks like a nice breath of fresh air as far as the worlds of DC. I gotta get used to saying that. It sounds so awkward. Films are concerned. It looks like it's going to be a game changer as far as changing the perception of tone, and that they can have different movies. Everything doesn't have to be dark and gritty. That you can have something colorful, fun, that's kind of poking fun of itself, the mythology. And it just looks like it's going to be a good time. What else we have? Lobo movie was announced with nothing else attached to it, but a Lobo movie was somewhere in the works. That's been bouncing around as long as Justice League Dark has, and that's been years and years, and I don't know if that's ever going to materialize or not, but it's been floated out there, so I had to include that. Cyborg was thrown out there when they did the first initial big slate of movies that were going to come out. Cyborg was supposed to come out in 2020. We haven't heard anything about Cyborg at all. I loved the part of Cyborg we got in Justice League, and I would love to see Ray Fisher in his own movie. Then we've heard, the only other thing we heard retooled is that they were going to work Cyborg in to the Flash movie and have it be kind of like a buddy cop type deal. I don't know what they're going to do. They were doing that in lieu of a Cyborg movie at this point, or were they going to do that to kind of strengthen his presence and then still do a Cyborg movie? I doubt it's really going to be coming out in 2020 unless some major stuff changes, but that's when it was originally announced to be released, like 2020. Then we've had announcements of New Gods. Right after Marvel dropped Avengers Infinity War, they came back and said, we're going to do New Gods, and we're going to get Ava DuVernay. And this was right off of Wrinkle in Time flopping at the movie theaters, which I thought was a strange pick. But she's supposedly a huge comic book fan. I love her as a person. I love her interviews. She used to be a rapper. I used to follow her when she was a rapper years and years ago, old school hip hop. I never knew her as a comic book fan. That's not doubting that she's not. She's supposedly a huge fan of Jack Kirby and the New Gods. But here's the thing. Why announce a New Gods movie when you cut every reference and setup to Darkseid and the New Gods in the Fourth World from the Justice League movie? It was a focal point of the story of Justice League, and you cut it all out. But then after Avengers Infinity War comes out, then you re-announce it. You already had shot things that tied in. Darkseid made an appearance in the actual movie when he was being sucked through the portal at the end that you cut out. So why then? That makes no sense to me. But that's just another one of the many mistakes that I feel like DC has did. They wanted to pivot midway through the movie, and you pivoted to the whole setup for the Legion of Doom. But then you want to go back and do a New Gods movie when you've already announced Steppenwolf that's attached to the New Gods and the whole Fourth World. It's tiring. It's tiring. So to boot, I'm still not done. I still got a couple of more movies left, surprisingly enough. So coming off the New Gods announcement, we had a Black Hawk movie announcement by Steven Spielberg that's going to happen at some point. We don't know when because Steven Spielberg stays busy. So it's going to happen sometime. No time soon, but somewhere down the road he's going to do a Black Hawk movie. So that'll be interesting. I kind of dug the take on Black Hawks they did in the New 52 when the New 52 relaunched. The series didn't last that long. I read the first few issues of it and I dug it. If you're not familiar with Black Hawks, they're like an elite World War II, I want to say, World War I, World War II, like fighting unit that would help people and things like that. It was a really kind of cool. This is classic DC war comic stuff that he wanted to do, a take on. It was announced. He said he's doing it, but it's already been rumors that he's doing a sequel to Ready Player One. It's been he's been pumping out movies left and right now. So I don't know when Steven Spielberg is actually going to get to it, or is he just going to be producing and assign someone else to direct it? Who knows at this point? This movie, like I said, we might hear something more about it, than over the next 2-3 years, probably, but not anytime soon. I don't think. Last but not least, the Joker movie, which they announced that Jared Leto would be an executive producer on, and he's going to be starring in the movie. I don't know, from certain comments Jared Leto has made, disparaging comments that he made towards DC and DC films, if this is ever going to be made, or they just announced it to kind of pacify him in the meantime, or what. I would like to see it. I seriously doubt it's going to happen, though, because he said some certain things that I felt like he said that were very true and very honest about how he dedicated a lot to that Joker, and from Suicide Squad, and it was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that he shot so much stuff, and how him and Margot Robbie were there weeks before anybody else and shot all this footage that just got left on the cutting room floor. At one point he said it was enough there from footage they cut to have made to make this Joker and Harley Quinn movie that they're talking about making alone, that just were totally cut out of the film. So it remains to be seen what's going to ever happen with this whole situation. So, those are all the things. And I think the biggest thing, that's what's wrong. They keep, Walter Hamada came on, I don't know, about 6-7 months ago. None of his movies have dropped yet to see the shift in management over at DC Films and see how it's going to pan up. They're going in some interesting directions. The movies are getting brighter, most definitely, from the pictures I've seen of Wonder Woman to the trailer of Aquaman to Shazam. It's definitely going brighter, lighter in tone. I didn't ever think that their tone was the problem. I just thought their meddling was the problem. So if they go ahead and let the filmmakers, like they did with Patty Jenkins, just make the film they want to make, it'll pay off dividends. And you have some really good directors, like I said, Gavin O'Connor, Todd Phillips is, pretty good. It seems like they're pretty much let David Sandberg do his thing on Shazam, and it seems like he has a good, and he's gonna tongue-in-cheek kind of lighter tone, which fits the Shazam character. So it seems like that might work. The end product, we have to wait and see. So I don't want to cast judgment on something either way that is going to be good or bad before I actually see the finished product. But it seemed like you haven't heard a lot of rumblings of they made him tweak this or change that to kind of let him go make his movie. And for good or bad, that'll come out and we'll see what it is. But if they take that approach going forward, maybe we'll get some good films. I feel like at this point, but I feel like this is a fantasy to say I hope they don't announce more movies and just start fleshing out things attached to movies that they already have announced over the years. Like I said, this is how many movies did I just talk about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 freaking movies. This is, you know what I mean? And we have release dates out of the 22 movies that I talked about. We have concrete release dates for 5 out of 22. That is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. So that's why I say I don't care. I don't care, DC Films. Like, don't announce no more movies, man. Give me facts. Give me, this movie's going in production. This movie has a release date. These are like casting stuff. Start doing that instead of announcing another freaking movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop it. Walter, they hired you to stop the BS that they were doing before, and you've just been doing more of it. Hey, we got Steven Spielberg. Hey, we're going to do another DC Worlds thing with Joker, even though we announced 2 other Joker movies. Yeah, that sounds smart. No, that's dumb. Stop it. You're turning the fans against you already because you've already made so many empty announcements and haven't followed through on them. So just stop it, because then by the time these movies finally come out, nobody's going to want to go see them. Like, if I honestly, straight up, let me be 100% honest with y'all, because that's what I do. I keep it 100% honest. You done heard me cry on this daggone podcast. I can't keep it any more honest than that. I'm going to keep it real with you. If I didn't do this podcast, more than likely I would not go see Aquaman or Shazam. But it's the fact that I do that, and I pretty much review every comic book movie release, then I will cover it. But I'm going to be God honest with you. If it wasn't for that, because I don't care, I felt like I've been burnt so much by DC films, like just on the strength of me personally as being a personal fan, I probably forget that. I'm not even going to support them anymore. But it's the fact that I cover these things and I do these reviews that I will do it, but I don't care. Like, going into it, right now, I'm just like, oh, Shazam looked better. I had no expectation for Shazam. So after seeing the trailers, I can rock with that. I'll rock with that. That looked like that could be fun. And then Aquaman, it's like, okay, it's Aquaman. It's not wowing me. So, it's like, oh, I'm not, maybe it'll change as time passes and more trailers drop. But right now, it's like, I don't care about those 2 movies outside of doing a proper review and talking about them with you guys. If it wasn't for that, I don't care about the movies. I don't care about DC films right now, because I feel like they're just a lot of fluff with no substance at this point. They bolster all these announcements and we're so big, we're going to be big like Marvel. Well, Marvel puts out movies. Y'all haven't. For all the movies you announced, you got 22 movies here unreleased, and by the time the next one drops, Marvel has already dropped 22, 23 movies. While you talking about 22 movies, they already dropped 22, 23. You can't catch them. Stop trying. Stop trying to be them. Do your own thing. You have all the flexibility in the world. You own all your characters. They had to make deals to get all their characters back. You already own all your characters. Why aren't you using them in these movies? And why aren't you putting out movies faster? Do your own thing. what you've tried to do in mimicking their success has made you fall flat on your face. Stop it. Do your own thing. Let your filmmakers that you hire make the films they want to make. Maybe then you'll have some success. And you can get on the winning side of it. Because at this point, what you keep doing is just putting you further behind. That's all it's doing. So you need to tighten up and focus on putting out quality content and hiring good filmmakers and allow those filmmakers to make the movies they envision. Then you'll be somewhere. That's all I got for you guys. This thing that made me hot now. I gotta go somewhere and calm down. But anyway, here are my thoughts. These are only my thoughts and ideas from everything that I've seen, heard, and everything else. Again, follow me. It's August, y'all. If you have followed me on Instagram, I posted some pictures. I got tons of comics, trades, all that I'm giving away in celebration of, going into year 13 of doing the podcast. You better follow the YouTube channel. Is youtube.com/comic book savant. The website, comicbooksavant.com. You follow me on, I'm not going to say Twitter anymore because I don't really do anything on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get 100 subscribers on YouTube before the end of this month. I'm going to be doing giveaways on YouTube. I'm going to be doing giveaways on Instagram and on the website. So I'm doing giveaways everywhere. So follow me, go to those places and follow me. And I'm going to be doing separate giveaways on all those different channels. So if you go there and you subscribe, you'll catch videos. I'm making announcements on everything that I'm doing. So if you want to win or have the most chances to win, follow me all those different places. And that's all I got for you guys this week. So more to come. I'm going to make some announcements on upcoming podcasts. The anniversary show it'll be next week's show. So I'm going to do something special for that. As well, it'll be another episode dropping this week. It'll be a Comic Book Savant extra episode, my comic haul for July. So I'll be dropping that on Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. And that's all I have for you guys. So you guys have a good week, and I'll see you Thursday. Take care.